Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we'll be taking a look at Caroline, the Corythosaurus. This review is long overdue. If you've been following my other PNSO reviews, I've stated a few times that this poor figure has been lost in the mail for over 3 months. I think I ordered this about the middle of October, and it never left customs for a couple months. Then it just mysteriously went back to China. So I contacted the seller on Amazon, ended up getting my money back. I used that money to order one that was actually in stock on Amazon Prime, and I got the figure in a few days later. But today, when I got home, there was a package sitting at my doorstep, and lo and behold, the long lost Corythosaurus actually got delivered. So now I have two of these figures. So what I'm going to do is a giveaway, and I'll have the rules for that giveaway at the end of the review, so stick around for that. So before we take a closer look at this figure, let's just go over the packaging really quick. It comes in these standard prehistoric animal models boxes that we've been seeing since the line started. You got a beautiful picture of Caroline on the front of the box, and then on top you have a close-up of her head, and just like every other PNSO figure, you get a little pamphlet with a very childlike story about this figure. You got a little silhouette of Corythosaurus up here, more artwork, and a close-up of the head. I really wish these pamphlets actually had scientific detail of why PNSO sculpted a figure a certain way. Give us some information instead of these kitty-like stories. I just the way PNSO markets these figures. They definitely gear it towards children, even though these are high-quality figures that little kids will probably destroy. That's just something I felt like getting off my chest. So anyways, enough about the packaging. Let's take a look at Caroline. So let's start with a nice 360-degree view of Caroline. This is a beautiful figure. In my opinion, I think this is one of the nicest figures PNSO has ever put out, and that paint scheme is just beautiful. It actually looks like the prototype image, which is very rare for PNSO. Usually there's some noticeable difference between what you get in hand and what's on the box, and this figure looks like exactly what's on the packaging. The main body color is this beautiful yellow with a little bit of green mixed in. You have all these beautiful brown splotches and stripes along the backs inside of the animal, and the crest is done with this beautiful red and orange with this turquoise blue. Just looks absolutely fantastic, and I love the pose. It's sculpted in mid-stride. It gives a very lifelike look, and I love all that dark gray paint on the front legs and hind limbs. Looks like the animal is trekking through mud, so a nice touch. This pose kind of reminds me of Papo. Papo usually gives their figures a very lifelike pose. It makes them feel alive, and I think this Corythosaurus just emulates that. Absolutely fantastic. I love this figure. So let's just do a couple quick measurements on this Corythosaurus. This figure, if you measure it along the curve of the tail, is about 11.5 inches long and just about 4 inches tall to the crest right there. So Corythosaurus in real life was about 30 feet long, so I'll put this figure just over the 130 scale range. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this beautiful looking head. I absolutely love the head sculpt on this figure. The crest is done in this nice orange paint with turquoise mixed in. It actually has this glossy coat. It makes it feel like there's a keratin sheath over the crest. The eyes painted in yellow with a black pupil. You have a little bit of orange going down to the beak right there. The end of the beak is painted in black. You can clearly see the nostrils sculpted in. You have a lot of nice fine pebbly scales sculpted along the side of the head and all the way down the body. Some large scales mixed in there. It just looks really, really nice. Very tactile feel in the hand. They did a great job with the scale detail on here, and we actually do know that Corythosaurus was covered in very small scales. There's a few very, very well preserved specimens of this dinosaur. And you can see the ear canal sculpted in right here. Then the main body is this bright yellow coloration with just a hint of green. I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but on certain angles when you turn this figure, the green really does pop. And you have all these beautiful brown stripes and blotches along the side of the body. I just love all the scale work. Some nice folds and wrinkles along the midsection. And then along the back, you have these larger scales that form a row, starting right behind the head. It goes all the way down the back to about 3/4 down the tail, and then going to the front legs. You can see that they actually gave this figure hooves. The most recent hadrosaur reconstruction has them basically having that oven mitt look. The hooves are actually covered by skin, so interesting touch to add the hooves on here. I prefer them not to have the hooves, but it's really not a deal breaker for me with this figure because I think it's absolutely gorgeous looking. And then underneath the other side of the animal is painted in a white color with a little bit of orange highlight. And then you have these large scales sculpted in on the belly, which is a really, really nice touch. The hind legs have some really nice muscle detail, beautiful folds and wrinkles, mixing in with all that nice scale detail. And then going down to the hind legs, you can see they're sculpted really nice, light gray paint for the toe claws, and the tail's also really well sculpted. You can see more of those large scales starting underneath the thigh, going to just about the halfway point of the tail. So all in all, this Corythosaurus is really nice looking. The only other complaint I have on it, the head just looks a little big to me. If it was just a little bit smaller, I think it would just be perfect in my eyes. I just feel like the head is a little oversized on this figure, but other than that, this figure is just fantastic. All right, let's move on with some comparisons. First up is the old Carnegie Collection Corythosaurus, which is still a great figure, but we definitely needed an update of this Hadrosaur, and this PNSO one, like I keep saying, is absolutely fantastic. It's kind of a shame that we really don't have a lot of good Corythosaurus figures. It's such a well-known Hadrosaur. The only other one I can think of is the very expensive and rare Invicta Corythosaurus, which is very retro looking. But other than that, there's really not much out there. Probably Collecte has one, but their older figures were not my cup of tea. And next up is the Wild Safari Hypacrosaurus, which are very similar to Corythosaurus. And let's keep the old safari figure train rolling. Here it is with the old Carnegie Collection Maiasaur, another Hadrosaur figure that needs an update. Maybe someday Batat will release the repaint of their Maiasaur, but highly, highly dealt at. And here it is with the Safari Limited Gripposaurus. And here it is with, speaking of Batat, here it is with their excellent Parasaurolophus. And I just love how these Batat figures held up over the years. It's still fantastic 20 years later. And here it is with the Safari Limited Edmontosaurus. You can see it has that oven mitt look on the front feet, which I kind of preferred this Corythosaurus had. And here it is with another Hadrosaur. I have a lot of Hadrosaur figures. Here it is with the Mojo Fun Manchurosaurus. And lastly, for Hadrosaur figures, here it is with the recently released PNSO Lambeosaurus. Now, Corythosaurus and Lambeosaurus are pretty much the same size, so this Corythosaurus figure is obviously too large to scale with the Lambeosaurus. I would much prefer these two figures to be in scale with each other, but it's not a big deal to me because, like I keep saying, this figure is absolutely beautiful, and this Lambeosaurus is also fantastic. And just a couple more comparisons. Here it is with the PNSO Spinosaurus, and ironically, these two figures cost exactly the same price, even though this Corythosaurus figure is like twice the size of this Spinosaurus, so I have no idea how that pricing came into effect. And lastly, here it is with the PNSO Wilson Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I think these two figures look nice next to each other, even though the Corythosaurus is a little big to scale with this T-Rex. So, final thoughts on this figure. If you couldn't figure it out by now, I am in absolute love with this Corythosaurus. I think it's a fantastic figure. Just a couple minor nitpicks. I feel like the head's a little bit too big, and the inclusion of claws on the front feet. I just wish they gave it that oven mitt look. But other than that, the figure is absolutely beautiful. Great work with the paint. Sculpting detail is fantastic. And like I said, I think it's one of the best figures PNSO has put out so far. And when I eventually get to my top 10 dinosaur figures of 2020 video, this figure is definitely going to rank high up on that list. I'm just waiting for a few more figures to come in from PNSO there, Winter Wilson and the Chinsusaurus, and then I'll just compile my list and put that video up, so be on the lookout for that probably in the next month or so. So moving on about the giveaway for this extra Corythosaurus. So this giveaway is free to enter. However, it's only available for residents of the United States. I apologize to my international audience, but international shipping is an absolute disaster right now. So I just rather just be shipped to someone in the US just to make things easy for now. All you have to do to enter is just use the hashtag Big Honk in one of your comments on this video, and I'll use a random comment selector to pick the winner. This giveaway will run to Monday, January 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the cutoff time, and I'll announce the winner on a pinned comment on this video. And then once I announce the winner, I'll leave information how to get in contact with me, and then we'll just go from there, and I'll ship this figure to you for free. And I'll also leave a more detailed rundown of the rules in the description of this video. And if this giveaway goes off without a hitch, expect more giveaways in the future. So that would do it for the review. As always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.